That sounds very good, Ethan. Nice to meet you. My name is Trent, by the way. I have a question for
Trent?
you. Since the trade deadline and the buyout market, like you said earlier, the buyout market is not going to help us win a championship. Our main goal is to win it all with the big three that we have. And you said it needs to be an eternal fix. So I'm
Mm.
my question to you is, do you think there's any problem with Jimmy and Tyler? I feel like, in 2021 their relationship seemed a little bit better, and kind of nowadays it seems like it's not how it used to be. And record wise, when the all big three is together, is like 31 and 35 since like the start of last season. So it's not the greatest at the moment. And if, like you said earlier too, if we're gonna win a championship, we need them all playing well together. So do you think there's any problem, or do you think it's just the team's just not constructed well enough to go over the hump? But I'm mainly on the big three of the sense of Tyler and Jimmy.
I don't think there's a personal issue with Jimmy and Tyler. I think their relationship has gone up and down.
Okay.
I think there was, I mean, when Tyler was drafted and Jimmy signed, Jimmy invited Tyler to Chicago, and Tyler stayed with Jimmy for a week in Chicago. Not only did he stay with him for a week, Jimmy came down to close on a house and had Tyler fly down with him. It was at the closing with him. So Jimmy, like he sort of saw with Jaquez and Jovic, that he's kind of taken some guys under his wing. He did that with Tyler. There was some stuff I heard about in their second season uh, that involved people around them that I think damaged their relationship for a period of time. I don't want to get into a ton of details, but in sports and locker rooms, there's typically something that damages relationships between guys. Um, and so I had heard some stuff in the second year, but it seemed to have been patched, whatever it was. I don't think that's the issue. I see Jimmy wait for Tyler. I remember on Tyler, I think it was on Tyler's birthday that Jimmy was waiting by the door. Says, when are you guys all going to dinner? Hit me up, this and that. So I don't sense uh, a coldness there at this point. I don't, look, it's never been like Jimmy and Bam are not close. You know what I mean? Like they're not close. Like I don't think there's any personal strife there, but they're not like we see certain. It's not like Curry and Clay. Okay, they're very different people. I think Bam has grown into himself since he's been in Miami. He's a very different person than Jimmy. Um, I think Bam cares more about what everybody in the locker room thinks of him than Jimmy does. And so I don't think it's always been a perfect natural fit in terms of personalities. But I think the bigger issue is I think they get along well enough. I think the issue is it's an on court fit, and Jimmy and Bam have accomplished a lot considering that they don't fit perfectly. Like there are not a lot of if you look at the duos around the league that have had success, usually one of them is a 3-point shooter, at least. Like they occupy similar places on the floor. And I think that's the real issue. I don't even think it's the on ball stuff. I think it's Jimmy likes to operate from the post out to the mid range, right? I mean, he's made it 3 in 10 straight games, but that's not his game. Bam likes the dotted line jumper. That's where everybody wanted him to shoot that. That's what he's been shooting, right? Uh, and nobody on the team can throw him a lot. Although Terry looks like he has the ability to do that. And Tyler likes to get to that floater. So you're all occupying similar places. And I talked to Josh about that. And Josh, that's been one of the struggles Josh has had is that he likes to get into the paint to that floater. That's where he's comfortable. That's where he builds rhythm. He's like, but everybody's already there. And I think that's why Duncan, even though he had improved some of that dribble drive game and mid-range game and stuff, but we know that Duncan has gravity that nobody else on the team has. And I think that is why those lineups have always looked better with Bam and Jimmy because it's created more space. And the numbers suggest that those lineups are better. But the problem is that Duncan's upside is not Tyler's upside. The team doesn't view it that way. And so it's the three of them that have to make it work. Like, they need to get Duncan going. He's in a bit of a rut right now. They need to get Hawkins going. Jaime, I think, came back from the groin injury and has been out of rhythm, out of sorts. I don't think him competing in this. We reported the slam dunk thing first. We knew it was going to happen about 2 months ago, but I don't think it's the best thing for him right now. I don't think honestly he needs a break instead of dunking, doing Rising Stars, and doing 25 promotional appearances in Indianapolis. Like I think he could use a week or two, but it is what it is. So they need to get those guys going, but ultimately they need to figure out the Tyler thing is the most important thing they need to figure out because I mean it's always the third guy. It's always the third guy. Like if you go back in Heat history, it's if you go back to the very beginning, it was Tim and Zoe and Mash, and then they subbed out Mash, and they brought in Eddie, and then they subbed out Eddie to get other parts, and then it's always going to be the third guy. That's who everybody asks for. The Heat are not pitching him around the league, but that's who teams do ask for. There is value in Tyler Hero. But ultimately, if it doesn't work as the third guy, you're not subbing out the first two. So he's got to make it work. I talked to him for a few minutes. We just did a podcast about it. I got him on the side to talk about his relationship with Terry so far and how that's working. And he seems energized by it. I know people took the comments as kind of anti Lowry. I just think he likes having someone who'll run with him, um, and who kind of has energy because Kyle had sort of very negative energy by the end. And so I think that there's a um, I think there's a real opportunity for Tyler and Terry to create something together that is a game beyond just Jimmy and Bam. And I think if Tyler just needs to find a niche with somebody on this team so that he's additive to them instead of subtracting from them.